Hello and welcome to episode 46 of the West Aurora 129 podcast. I'm Dr. Michael Smith, superintendent, and I'm excited to bring you another engaging conversation as we continue our series highlighting the leaders within our district. In today's episode, we'll explore their unique experiences, the culture of their schools, and the ways they inspire and support their students, staff, and communities each day. Today, we're spotlighting Freeman Elementary School, a school named after Joseph H. Freeman, a distinguished leader in West Aurora's history. Captain Freeman, a Civil War veteran, served as superintendent of both the East and West Aurora schools, an accomplishment that speaks to his deep commitment to education as well as to our community. Carrying that spirit of dedication forward today is Principal Jana Ream. Welcome, Jana.
Thanks for having me today.
And just as Freeman Elementary honors a legacy of leadership, Hall Elementary School reflects the lasting impact of its namesake, Frank H. Hall. Hall was not only an educator and superintendent, but also an inventor, businessman, and author. I need to get to work. I only have one of those. His legacy of innovation and service continues to inspire students and educators alike. Carrying that legacy forward today is Principal Liz Linning. Thanks for joining us, Liz.
Yeah, good morning. Happy to be here.
And Jana, we're going to start things off with you.
Okay.
You started your career as a school psychologist before transitioning into administration. How does your background in psychology influence the way you lead and support students as you're making decisions as you lead Freeman?
Yeah, I think that my background as a school psychologist really has framed my belief that we really need to focus on both the social emotional well-being of our students and the academic growth of our students. We know that in order for students to be successful academically, we also have to make them feel comfortable and safe in school in order to take risks academically, to feel like they can ask questions, be curious, make mistakes in their learning. We know that that's one of the most important ways that students make growth. And in order to do that, we have to make sure that their social emotional needs are being met.
That's awesome. So a nice marriage between the two is what we're looking for.
Yeah.
I love it. And Liz, you have a background in STEM education and hands-on inquiry-based type learning. How has that experience influenced the way you lead?
I think that, my background really shapes how I think about learning for students and our staff alike. With my background in STEM, we really encourage curiosity, problem solving, lots of learning by doing. And I try to bring that into my leadership. I want teachers and students alike to feel like they can try new things, similar to what Jana said, make those mistakes, grow from them. I definitely believe that we learn by getting our hands dirty, making mistakes, correcting them, reflecting, and I really encourage everybody to do the same. And, for me, it's really about guiding people to do that, motivating them, helping create that right environment so that they can take ownership and grow. Like, you can't do the learning for them, but you can sure help create that environment that supports that.
That's good. That's good. I love that both of you highlighted it's not just sit down and put a piece of paper in front of students. It's looking and finding out who they are as an individual first, and then embracing who they are and walking alongside them as we look to grow what it is that they're learning each day. I love that. Every school in School District 129 has its own unique culture. At Freeman, you all have the Mustang mindset, and at Hall, the Husky promise. How do these guiding principles shape the culture of your schools, and what traditions or initiatives help reinforce that sense of community? How about I toss it to you, Liz?
Yeah, so the Husky Promise, we start every day with our morning announcements. We say that our Hall Huskies are a compassionate, mindful, resilient, growing community of students, staff, and families. And I really think that saying that together every morning kind of sets our tone for the whole school day. It's a daily reminder of who we are and what we're working for as a school community. And, with that goal of engaging everybody, one of our big projects and things that we do that I'm really excited about right now is our One School, One Book project. We're actually wrapping that up for this school year. And it's a really well-loved tradition at Hall. So everybody in our school community gets a copy of the same book. We read it together. We do lots of activities. We have Spirit Week. We do Masked Reader. And we really just want to encourage a love of reading for students, staff, and families alike. And so this year our book is The Curse of the Were-Penguin. And we're getting ready to wrap that project up by having the author of the book, Alan Woodrow, come visit our school tomorrow.
Wow, that's neat.
Yeah.
And how about that Mustang mindset, Jana?
Yeah, similar to what Liz said, the Mustang mindset is something that we do start our day off with every day during daily announcements. Some of the things that we emphasize through our Mustang mindset is being brave, welcoming challenges, being a problem solver, and being really in control of our own thoughts, feelings, and actions. And so while we have that saying every morning. We also emphasize embedding that in our conversations with students every day. So whether it's an interaction that occurs between two students, whether it's acknowledging that a student made a mistake in the classroom and embracing that and saying that's how that helps us grow and learn, that really kind of helps guide our students in embracing all of that academic growth, but also understanding that it's okay to make mistakes and we have to learn from that.
Sure. And I can appreciate how both of you, still part of School District 129 and amongst the 10 elementary schools that we do have, both of you have definitely demonstrated through your leadership how you've taken into account the local context and what that means to be a community of learners within the location that you're leading, whether it be Hall or Freeman, while at the same time building those core skills that no matter where they go next, there's a foundation, a similar foundation as they matriculate through our system. So thank you for that. Now, as principals, and we're not just talking about students, we also have to think about teachers and staff. What are some things that you do to foster strong collaborative team environment within your buildings? Jana, how about we start with you?
Sure. So I think our teams do spend a lot of time planning together, on a weekly basis, also through some of our structured meeting schedules we have. But this year, one of the things that we've really emphasized is collective efficacy in our building and really acknowledging that we have so much expertise within our building among our staff. So one of the activities that we did this year to really highlight that is have each of our staff members identify one thing that they wanted to learn from one of their colleagues in the building. And so then as building administration, we've really worked to provide time and opportunities to either go collaborate with that specific staff member, even if they're not on their grade level team, or maybe go observe them and try to reflect and learn from the practices that they're implementing in their classroom. Otherwise, education can become really isolated within the classroom when you're in there all day on your own. And so making sure that we're really leveraging the expertise that we have within our building.
That's good. I like that. Liz, what do you think? How are you supporting your staff and teachers?
Yeah, I think that I'm really lucky to work with the staff of many people who have spent their entire careers at Hall. And so I think that with that, the expertise that we've got in the room, I think that many heads are better than one. And, one thing that I've really learned about the staff is that we bring together and we come together for the students. And so really just kind of creating that forum for those open conversations to kind of identify what's going on in our building, whether that just be a one-time challenge or how to kind of improve our school overall so that our students have the best learning that's possible. Kind of coming together, brainstorming, figuring those things out as a team, and I think that we're a staff that when we come together, we work really hard. And so we also try to play hard together. And, we do try to celebrate those wins and the celebrations. We've got a sunshine committee that plans lots of fun things for us too. So we try to work hard and play hard together.
Oh, I love it. And even though you may report to the same building, you may report to the same grade level year after year, what a great opportunity because it's the first time for the students that you're then working with. And we owe them the opportunity to see things new and fresh. And I appreciate your staffs being open and willing to learn from each other. That's not easy to do. But they're sitting on knowledge, and how about opening our doors and sharing with one another? That's the only way we're going to get better. So thank you for those examples of how you foster that collaboration. And it's not just students, it's not just staff, but that third leg, our families. And family partnerships that we know are essential, especially at the elementary level. How do you encourage and strengthen those family connections and the involvement in the schools? Liz, you want to take this one?
Yeah, I think it starts with just really creating that welcoming environment and having those conversations with parents. Our door's always open to celebrate successes, problem solve, listen to their voices, really hope that they feel like a part of our whole community. I think over the past couple of years, we've been working really hard to build our PTO and add lots of family events that we do exactly that. We literally open our doors to the families for those things. So we host our annual Hall Fall Crawl, and with our PTO, we've expanded really those family events for this year, hosting art nights and things like that are always a big hit. And then another way that our school we really work with, and I think is some of our strongest family involvement, is through the parent mentor program. So we have some parents who on a daily basis volunteer their time, not in their child's classroom, but just kind of in our school.
Sure.
And really the students, they see our parent mentors as an extension of our teaching staff.
That's
and
neat.
The students whose parents work there, they're so proud that their parents work at our school, and many of them have in fact expand their day and now work as like lunch recess supervisors and things like that. So truly these are parents who have become part of our Hall community. And, I think that that's a really powerful way that shows that it helps our staff because we have extra help. It helps those parents know what's going on, and it helps those students really feel connected and proud of the work that their school community is doing.
That's neat. And talk about tradition. Freeman has a long standing tradition of connecting and working with families. Jana, what's something that you all do over there?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm very fortunate to have a really, really strong PTA over at Freeman that was established well before I got there. And so we are very blessed that we have so many families wanting to participate in not only fundraising events, but then also putting on some of those events like Liz talked about that just bring families together. So even last night we had, fundraiser at Culver's. So it was really fun just being there for a few hours, getting to see families, seeing kids outside of the school setting, getting to serve food to them.
We don't live in our schools?
We don't just live in our schools, no. Right. But sometimes they think we do. And so it's fun, just getting to bring my own family, and we're serving food with them and having fun. And so I'm really grateful that our PTA does put on some of those events. And we do have our teachers do a great job communicating with our families and trying to get families to come in to volunteer. So right now we do have like our Mustang Madness, which is kind of like a March Madness event where we have our kindergarten through third grade classrooms. They vote on picture books that are their favorite in like a bracket system to kind of see which is their favorite book of the year.
That's good.
And so parents are coming in right now to volunteer to read in their classrooms, and the kids are always so excited to see their family members there.
That is neat. We started our conversation talking about the whole child. Social emotional learning, you can't look out in our world today and not see that is a vital component that we have to attend to in our schools. But at the same time, we still have a responsibility for our students to learn, to teach them. So can you talk to me about what you do to balance that rigor of academics while at the same time coming alongside our students socio-emotionally so they are seen and heard and they know that they're welcome in our system? Jana?
Yeah, and I think you worded it really well at the beginning when you talked about it being a marriage between the two. So I know that we have our classroom community time where teachers are explicitly teaching, some of those social emotional skills, being able to regulate their own emotions, but really that doesn't become separate from the academics throughout the day. So as we're challenging students to face difficult academic challenges, reminding them we're brave, we welcome those challenges. So you're not going to give up right now. What tools do you have? What strategies do you have? Reminding kids when they're frustrated with their academics, remember, we can regulate our emotions. This is how we talked about it. And then we're going to push through and still really face those academic challenges.
So it's not the emotions don't matter. It's regulate. How do we address it? How do we name it and then respond?
Exactly.
I love that. That's good. That's good.
Yeah. I think similarly, Jen, I think you said it earlier that we really have a focus on learning from mistakes. And that's not always just, I made a mistake in the math problem and now I'm going to learn from it and do better. But kids are learning to interact with one another and interact with the greater world. And sometimes when they do that, they make mistakes. And so really taking that, those opportunities and using them as those teaching moments and taking that restorative approach and helping students see that their academics and their social pieces, their wins and their mistakes, they do impact the whole community, and helping them to understand that impact that they can have, celebrating those wins and helping them learn from the mistakes that they make, while modeling all of those skills for our students at any chance that we get.
No, that's awesome. And both of you, I love how as leaders, we would say in the educational world, our jargon is resilience. You talk about, it's okay. Why were you upset? Let's talk about it so that we can get back to what we're doing. That's the big word resilience there. We're not going to say, hey, are you being resilient right now? You're breaking it down to what students can understand, because those are skills that they're going to need as they both move through our system, but move through life. And even the idea of kindness. Both of you talked about interacting with one another. That is a skill set. At times you would think as adults we've lost that skill set. So knowing that we're solidifying it within our schools is definitely a piece of what it is that we're doing. Now, I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to sit here and say every day is roses and sunshine. And being a principal is hard. It's challenging, but also it is rewarding. Can you think about a time that you can, I'm going to hang that experience on my wall of memories in terms of something that's happened during the course of your time as a principal? Whichever one wants to take this one. Liz, you have one?
It's so hard to pick a specific one, because I think that as like a teacher at heart, like every single time I go into the classroom, I think I get a new one that I add to the wall. And I think really the reason that there are so many of those, like, this is what I do moments, it's because every time I see in that student, like, I call them light bulb moments. Like you just see that light bulb goes off in their brain. They understand something now that they didn't understand before. Like that's why I do what I do. And, I think an example of that is just earlier this week, I was in a 4th grade classroom and they were talking about elapsed time and a couple students were struggling. And then one student stood up and explained to the class how he had figured out how to do it using mixed numbers and fractions that nobody else had thought of. And so not only seeing like this light bulb for him, but that he helped this light bulb go off for other students. And like, he was so confident and proud and was sharing that learning. Like, anytime I see a moment like that, so that's one specific example, but I think any single time I go into the classroom and I see those little tiny light bulbs and those really big light bulbs, it reminds me why I show up every day.
That's good. That's good. Thank you. Jana, what do you think?
Yeah, I was struggling with thinking of a moment because there are so many. But there is one that stands out for me this year. We had a student who received special education services and came to us with a kind of a unique goal on his IEP plan. And so at first, at the very beginning of the year, we weren't seeing much growth. And so we had to really come together as a team and really problem solve. What are we going to do? How are we going to break this down into small steps to help the student move forward? And about mid-year, the student ran into the office and yelled, "I did it!" And he was just so excited. And those are the moments, like you said, those light bulb moments where they just feel that success. And then we as adults feel the success too. If we worked together, we collaborated together, we figured out how we could help the student move forward.
That's awesome. And we can't lose sight of those little nuggets because sometimes we forget about those when we're addressing the hard things. But those are the reason why we do what we do. And as a testament to the two of you, those don't happen without cultures that you're supporting. So thank you for facilitating the spaces that allowed that to happen. Those are great stories. This year, our leadership team has been exploring the concept of ownership, what it looks like, what it feels like, and what it sounds like in action. So as building leaders, how do you define or how have you defined your ownership as you have looked to foster leadership or your leadership within your schools?
I say I think about it from the terms of our Mustang mindset even. There's one line where it says, I can control my own thoughts, feelings, and actions. And so really understanding that there are some things that are out of our control. And sometimes it's really tempting to get bogged down by those things that aren't within our control, but we can always control how we react to it. So if we're looking at maybe student data and we're seeing that maybe a group of students or an individual student isn't making as much growth as we hope, then it's our job to go back and look at why is that happening? And then what can we do to adjust that to help students be more successful, whether it is socially and emotionally or academically. And so that's really our job as leaders of the building to look at that data and then say, what else can we do to help them grow more?
Sure. That's good. Thank you. Liz, what do you think?
I think that this is something that I really learned a lot from my staff who have been there so long. They truly feel like Hall is their home and, something very unique. And so I think that what I've really learned from them is that ownership is not it is about taking responsibility for the pieces that you can control, just like Jana said. But a big piece of that, too, that I learned from them is that pride. And like when you care so deeply, you show up deeply. And it's so much more personal. And our staff feels that student learning is so personal for their successes that, Hall kids are all of our kids. And so I think that, that deep caring and that responsibility, and talking about, we talk about it with the teachers creating, their leadership in our building that we see, and giving them opportunities to find ways to show that they care and to act out that care for our students. We talk about our students about owning their choices when, they do make those mistakes, and how do we move forward from those pieces, so that we can restore our community. But that's, I think, what it really comes down to for me is taking the responsibility but showing the pride in the school and all the amazing things that we do.
That is awesome. All right, not to put you on the spot, but we do a little something called rapid fire. So I'm going to start with you, Liz.
All right.
Don't think about it. Just give me the first thing that comes to mind. Cake or ice cream?
Cake.
Okay. Jana, morning or night? Morning person, night person?
Morning. Night? Neither.
All right, Liz. Favorite vacation destination?
Ooh, Savannah, Georgia.
Savannah, Georgia. Ooh.
Yeah.
Jana, salt or sweet?
Sweet.
Ooh, okay. All right. I like that. Favorite memory growing up from school?
Oh, It's a strange one, but the reason I knew I wanted to be a teacher was when my third grade teacher asked me in front of the whole class how to spell the word icicle because she couldn't figure it out. I don't know why, but it just really sticks out. And like,
Nice.
I thought I wanted to be a teacher, and I think her like letting me teach the class really just solidified it for me.
Nice. All right. And Jana, favorite memory from your family?
From my family?
Yes.
Oh gosh.
I know you have so many.
There's
but-
so many from like
Yes.
with my own children.
Yes, because I know your kids, and I
I
know,
know.
They provide plenty of opportunity
They provide
to smile.
plenty of opportunity for smiles. I think right now it's my third grader who goes to Freeman, and just every day him thinking that he owns the building.
Oh.
So sometimes we have to remind him
All right.
that he is not any different than any of our other students. So we do have to remind him of that from time to time.
I love
Yeah.
it. Jana and Liz, thank you so much for taking time to share your insights today. Your leadership at Freeman and Hall is shaping both strong learners and strong communities. It's clear that the work you do each day is making a lasting impact on your students, staff, and families, and that was evidenced by what you shared with us today. We appreciate your dedication and your thoughtful ways that you're building school culture and how you are supporting the learning in your schools. To our listeners, thank you for tuning in. You can subscribe to the West Aurora 129 podcast on Apple Podcasts, YouTube Music, SoundCloud, or the TuneIn Radio app. I would encourage you to subscribe to our broadcast and stay tuned for next month's episode featuring the principals of Jefferson and Herget Middle Schools. Everyone have a great day.